And hello, we're streaming again for this week. It's going to be very similar projects we've been doing last week. We're still on the Providence. Looking pretty interesting in that gold and whatnot. I've decided one more clear coat and I'm going to give it a bit of a polish. There's just a small handful of decals I need to apply, and this torso is finished. So let's get it nice and close to the camera, and you can see all of that lovely detail. There's just a ton of markings, there's cutaways, there's extra detail. It's not recognizable anymore as the out of the box master grade Bandai Providence. This is almost completely a different kettle of fish. It almost kind of looks unicorn banshee-ish, and since it's all been deckled up and whatnot, it's not too bad at all. So pretty pleased with that. I'm going to finish deckling on this guy. We're going to assemble his other parts. And I guess we will call it quits then if we finish a bit early. I've got a few more other bits and pieces to play with. Last week, we have finished our victory. So this guy is 100% done. Everything is beautifully tight, weathered, painted, segregated. You can see all the weathering and the build-up of dirt on the feet and whatnot. So yeah, this guy's pretty interesting. I've worked on him for more than a year, so put him away. Going to start editing the review for him shortly. I've also finished the tank, so I'll cut the video for the tank first because that's easy, and tank videos get a lot of views. Resin stuff, not so much, especially something as obscure as this guy. The model is really, really cool. I loved working on him. I loved working on him for as long as I have. I love the finish. Just everything about it is perfect. But it's just not people's cup of tea. The subject scale, the rarity, all that sort of thing. I'm the only person on this earth who built it over the past this year and last year, which is absolutely crazy. But that is the unique content you guys come to, I suppose. So I'm just gonna quickly, yeah, it's cool. Some guy I was just helping airbrushing and whatnot. We will quickly check audio, which I probably should have done that, or am I speaking? Can I hear myself? I probably should have checked that. Thank God it's actually coming through, because there's been issues with that over the past few weeks. But that, regrets, don't worry about that. I'm going to apply just the top bit here is just missing a couple of decals. That's it. Every square inch of gold that's visible and some of the gunmetal is just covered. There's just so much visual attention that's going to be drawing the eyes to the head and the torso, and then the decals will get more and more Spartan as things are spread out. So it's a bit of a design concept that I'm going to experiment with this build and see if decals make a big visual impact in that sort of light. So just going to, I'll use some large dumbbells for the inner part. There's just a small gap, not really visible. It's not like people are going to look there, but as long as it's nicely clustered, it just brings out the overall interest. No one's going to study every single individual decal, but all the decals clustered together will tell a much bigger story. I've shared this video on a few Facebook groups, my page, my wall, and I build Gundam models, and I'm proud. Not because it's a particular group I like or it's special or anything, only because there is a very, very large audience, and the chances of people just wandering in will be a little high. There's a few bubbles of water there, and I've been dealing with raw decals, so that's I like to live very, very dangerously. But these decals were specially imported and were expensive, so killing them will make me cry. I've just realised as I'm chopping the decals, my toolbox is in the other room, which I'll need to pick up the stickers, slide them on, and put them back. And that is very, very silly of me. I take my toolbox with me to work. I work in the city of Melbourne for a solid 3 to 4 days straight. So I stay there and live there, save public transport costs and all that. Instead of transporting to and from work and home, I could spend about 2-3 hours at a shop called Animasia at QV in the central district of Melbourne's CBD. So I hang out there for 2-3 hours a day, the working days that I do, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I've got a small modelling area, airbrush, all that sort of thing. So that leads me to actually do some modelling in shop, which I really, really, really thoroughly enjoy. And people come in and they ask questions, and I tell them about the YouTube channel, and it's just all, it's all fun. It's nothing. It's nothing too serious. I'm just helping out, showing people what's what, and I get to work on the kit that's sponsored by the shop. They've given me a master grade Strike Rouge. Mostly because it's been sitting on the shelf forever and no one wanted to buy it. It's been there for like almost 2 years. They do turn over Gundam pretty well, but that's just ridiculous for a Gundam to sit around for a long time. The shop's moved locations a few times. A lot of customers handled it. The box got bruised and battered and damaged, and it just wasn't presentable enough to sell. So I've decided to build it. Uh, he offered me other master grades. Though I decided to build that one for when I was younger, more than 10 years ago. All the Hobby Japan, the Geki model magazines, all the big blogs, all the big scratch builders were building strikes. And the reason for that was Bandai always wanted to have a master in a frame and then just slap armor on it to make different machines. And there's been a lot of different anime concepts targeting that, though Seed was really the first to do it. Zoids really jumped on that bandwagon. What else? Wing, they tried it, though the later Wing Gundam Master Grades did incorporate that very, very successfully. Zoids, all that sort of thing. And then they perfected it once Double O came out, and you get the inner frame, and you have, the Double O riser, all that sort of stuff. You just add extra parts, up the price as it progresses through the show. These cartoons are toy commercials. And once you got to Double O saying all mobile suit frames are exactly the same, it's whatever you chuck on top of it, the core mechanics of these shows are designed around plastic injection modeling and the whole master grade frame. And just, once you can read between the lines and see that, it's a little cringy, but it's really enjoyable. Now, I'm going to dart out of the room. I'm not even here for 10 minutes. I'm going to dart out of the room for 2 seconds, grab my toolkit, and we're going to chuck some decals on this sucker. Once it's double clear coated, I think I'll put a lacquer on top as a final, polish it up, and then these two bits are going to be completely, utterly finished. Over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to start decaling the big bulk. The legs are on its way. The shield's going to be painted too. Maybe on Saturday, I want to start painting the other part. So we'll be back, guys. That didn't take too long. Awesome. It's getting really, really cold, so I've got this like third jumpsuit animal thing going on and a disgusting t-shirt underneath, so I'll button up a bit as it's not as revoltingly embarrassing. Not that I really care too much. So, all right, knife, decal water. I've only got 6 decals, so this should not be too boring at all. And fuck, I forgot my camera as well. I'll probably want to take a photo when all the parts are laid out. That would be an interesting thing. So once decals are done, we're gonna have to run out again and get my camera. I'm so fucking unorganized. It's hilarious. Now, on one of the Facebook groups, elitist gunpla builders, don't apply if you're a straight builder or some crap. Very I don't know. The whole concept rubs me up the wrong way. Though a lot of my mates and some really good modelers are present there that filter a lot of the toy collector snappers and whatnot, so you can get access to stuff that you couldn't otherwise do. They had an argument about people who either just build, airbrush, and finish straight, or modify and do all the other bits and pieces. They prime a kit, then test assemble and take a photo of it all just primed. And there was a large complaint that that was a huge waste of time, and people shouldn't do it. It's a trend that shouldn't end, but it looks so sexy and smooth, and it's the sort of thing that you see from release of prototypes of kits that are going to be released soon and whatnot. And I reckon if you're a resin modeler or you do a lot of scratch building, that process is kind of very, very important. So that sort of rules that out. I'm seeing a lot of on the big main groups, but I'm also joining general scale modeling groups, so that's a different story. I think there's a big increase of more people airbrushing now. There's mostly because there's a acceptance of utilizing cheaper airbrushes. The whole use of the budget 12-volt tiny plastic compressors are more widely acceptable and people willing to use. Though I think people are just willing to jump to that next level and starting to follow in the footsteps of other modelers, which is absolutely great. I'm loving that. And it's just going to lead to more people building, painting, sharing, and doing crazy customs and stuff. On the other hand, this rambling and talking might start getting very heavy on the anime side of things. Gundam build divers. I'm really digging that at the moment. It's almost just sort of like one of those MMORPG virtual reality things, like one of your Sword Art Online type things. But it's just turning out to be a lot of fun, and looking at the models and the problems with modelers and modeling, as well as tackling the concept of people who play video games, which I think is going to be hitting all the right points with the current generation and demographic of people building kits. Modelers are, on the most part, play video games. So, and Bandai Namco are also video game invested business. It would be very cool. And they've done Gundam games like MS Saga. When I played games way back, like MS Saga and whatnot, this was like a rad PlayStation 2 RPG or JRPG, where you could collect parts and mobile suits starting from the Universal Century, going across all the Gundam universes, exploring a post-apocalyptic Earth, and you just swap parts of your mobile suits and stuff to just get them stronger and collect the right weapons and shit that's in the journey that mimics all the different animes at the time. This is pre-00, so you got all your X and Wing and G and all that sort of stuff. That was very, very good fun. Did I put this in the right spot? No, 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 no. I might need to put more decals. Yeah, that's the right spot. That's exactly where I wanted that to be. Cool. I got off my thought train. Yeah, so that was actually very similar. I'm getting the same feel from this show as that game that I played like 10 years ago or whatever. And that's just hitting me nostalgically, and it just got me thinking about it. So that's something to share, I suppose. But yeah, that was a really cool game. I pirated. I got my PlayStation 2 chipped way back in the day, and yeah, someone gave it to me. It came from like, it was never released in the West, so it came from like Vietnam or something. I don't know, but it was in English, so. Alright, so this thing had a royal tumble. And I'm not seeing the decal I placed on it. And I've lost the other decal too, so this is very annoying, but I need to look to make sure that the decal hasn't slid somewhere inappropriate on the model. I'm going to clear coat it, and then it's stuck somewhere that I'll never be able to move again, and that's just going to be shit. I shouldn't have left it on the I should not have left it on this skewer. So I might have to cut 2 new decals out, but that's not a big deal. These were just very generic, shitty decals. And I was talking, not focusing too much, and the bloody thing fell on me, which definitely has me shitted off. Check my hand and fingers. Check the board. Nah, both decals are falling off. Shit. That's okay. So we'll apply this bastard on. I'm going to be glad to not be focusing on decals for a couple of. Oh, I see it. I found the decal and it's all fucked up. So let's wipe that on my pants and it will never be seen again. Alright, so that's there. And we shall apply the other one. And we need to cut 4 more decals out. Then this sucker is done. All the other decals are going to be really, really easy to apply. So it shouldn't be an issue. Oh, I found the other one. And it wasn't an inappropriate location. And it fucked up the other decal. Which I can save. Oh, I think I can save this one. And it's saved. Yay! I'll put this decal on before it dries out, which hasn't. Beautiful. But it's not sliding nicely, so. Meaning the surface is not wet enough. But I hope and pray the glue has not been affected. And it's sliding nicely, so the glue should dry nicely. So we've got only 3 decals to cut out. And 2 small ones. Choice-orama. Chuck these in mortar. And yeah, seriously, cannot be more happier that this guy is just so close to being at his conclusion. All right. Shit. There we go. 1, 2, and we shall put this away for a little while. So yeah, less than half used on the torso. So I wouldn't say that my deckling game has gotten better with this project, but my decal placement theory definitely has. And it just proves that you can go down the route of utilizing multiple clear coats, so you can get decals in the most difficult locations in the most hardest of fashions. Though, sort of talking about focusing more decals around the head and the torso and then less out everywhere else, having a game instead of just going random, is not a bad idea. I used to just go random. What made sense, around the thrusters, other things. But where's most of the critical systems, the controls, the power, everything? It's around the torso. And yeah, you got to have some warning around the feet so people don't get crushed for maintenance and stuff. Yeah, so you got to have that, like around thrusters, around the feet. But and the feet are a large area. Legs, feet, that's a large area. So you do have to have a number there. But just where it wouldn't be as noticeable is on arms, shields, weapons. Like the shield should have a large marking and number to signify the unit and all that sort of thing. But you don't have to go too heavy. And I think people are so worried about consuming a large open plane surface and less about where the eye is drawn. And if you want the eye to be drawn to the torso, then that's where the majority of your decal placement has to go. And putting this together with this build, I think that sort of answers the question for me at least. I'm going to try it on another couple of builds, mention it during the build and the other builds, and if it works out, compilate it into a theory and present it in a tutorial video format. So that's down pat. That's also down pat. Mount and put away. Clear coat just after I finish this session, which by then the decals should definitely be dried. So that's all good, said, done. Wipe up the excess decal paper. Decal sheets can be put away. The water can be tipped out. Which I'll do that carefully. Decal tray can be put away. And I'm going to disappear for 2 minutes approximately. So don't miss me. Back. one day I will have my shit better, and I suppose that will make things better, and I'll make these streams better, but whatever. One step at a time for sure. So we'll lay out all the parts, sort them out in categories, and we're going to be doing our grand assembly of like 3 clusters of bits. Now here, this one is a bit of a clusterfuck. So we've got some shoulders, we've got some arms, we've got all sorts of shit all over the place. We've got to make sure that the frame of the desk is all nicely connected. And, oh, of course, there's blue tack. So that's going to take... One thing people don't realise in the building process is adding mask, removing mask, checking for fitting, putting together, putting apart, putting it back together, pulling it apart. A lot of that sort of stuff people don't really consider as time-consuming until they actually do it. And once this shit has been sort of stuck for a little while, it gets really, really stuck. That's fucking baked in. So we'll get a toothpick and just narrow it out of the nook and crannies. This is there's all these tutorials and work in progresses and whatnot, and sitting down and just watching someone build Gundam wholesale, unedited, unmolested is rare because it's very boring. But there's just a lot of steps and experiences to the build that people miss out that is edited out on purpose. And it's things like removing that bit of blue tack gunk from the very inner part from when it was stuck on a peg. Oh, it's beautifully, beautifully shiny. Shiny. And I guess I'm going to be at this for the next 20 minutes, half an hour, or maybe even longer. And then re-snapping it together, which, again, does not sound very exciting. But there's techniques and methods and thoughts behind it that people would not otherwise have. And I'm sort of looking, and I've got some of that pencil silver work at it, and I thought, oh no, I scratched the paint. But it was like, no, that's like imitating an actual gold piece being scratched. So yeah, that's kind of a bit cool. Because like, you know, that scratch doesn't look right. It looks like it's in scale, like the thing has gotten scratched. Yeah, well, I'll make this video very talky for a while, and if we get a bit of a discourse and whatnot going in the chat and whatnot, and carry it on. After an hour, if that doesn't work out, I'll plug some music and shit and just, you know, allow this show to roll on, as long as the start of it is interesting, as this will be, you know, uploaded to YouTube and all that sort of thing. It can be kept around. The last 2 streams I did was complete rubbish and didn't talk and stuff, and, you know, obviously people don't stick around. The whole talking thing is very difficult when you're doing the same step over and over again for a period of an hour or something. Now, I'm just glad that the deckling process is completely gone and behind us. Fucking mosquito. Oh god, that was random. But yeah, we've got this here, and Jesus, I've used so much blue tack. Now, the reason why I'm using blue tack on these alligator clip skewers, I found out with the current Bandai plastic, when you're holding apart by the peg, and you're holding apart by the peg, it's painted and it's wonderful and everything's good, and I've got like a bloody messy workplace. Once you start introducing paints and oils and weathering and stuff, things soften up, snap, break, whatever, but the odd part will break, pop, and fly across the room. And if that's a tiny part, that part is forever lost to the carpet monster. Post-painted. And that's just frustrating as bloody hell. I just... Absolutely blows my mind. Blows my freaking mind. And I've lost a part and had to buy, broke another part, and I had to buy a whole second Providence Gundam, which it's just missing parts for the head, so you got the whole body going, and I could either use that for modifying or sell it to somebody that wants to do some modifying. So line up these parts. One, so it's laid out and the assembly is going to be so much easier. We know everything is. Two, it's an interesting photo op. And I might have some parts spread out on the other sections or the other boards. Now these belong to the funnels, so we'll take some of the funnel parts out and we'll just stack them. Fucking stack them. I'm just very, very glad that the Providence job I've been working on for months and months and months is starting to take shape. Tomorrow's video is going to be a bit late because it's going to be the work in progress on that thing just fucking disintegrated. It's going to be the work in progress on where the Providence is at the moment, how it's going. Work in progress update. So that will focus on that. And because I've sort of been a bit slow on it for a couple of weeks and then things have strategically or just suddenly started speeding up because that's just the process of it, just so there's a maximum impact of what things are looking for the people that, view and watch the videos, I want to show that it's getting along, but also the deadline, which isn't a set deadline. I mean, it is a competition, but the competition's not important. So if it's not ready, I won't rush this project. It's really cool. It's going to be quite the fancy, interesting, unique piece. And I'll probably display it at Gundams Plus or something like that. Chuck it in the glass cabinet for everyone to have a bit of a gander at. Where the shop that I also hang out and help out at Animasia, the kits there on display are going to be the kits that I've actually built in store. All of this bloody blue tack. So that's going to be the go. It'll be on public. Not going to the Gunpla Builders World Cup. Kind of banned from attending that at the moment. Though I might go in 2019, 2020 if there is still an Australian heat or the competition still exists. And we'll just do something, spectacular. Though compared to some of my more heavier scratch builds, this is probably my least spectacular main build, but probably one of my neater ones. It's not as creative. It's just that a Gundam. Though it's modified in a way where I reckon it's pretty visually appealing. So it is what it is. It's nothing to it. Just got to check that it's still got its articulation. Yeah, a bit tight, but it's not too bad. This gold is just killer. Love the look of it. And you give the, little definition and the scratch building, and I can see all the little work I've done here and there. I can't wait to actually set this. This bit's cool. So you've had a bit of masking, and you've got the thruster bit, which is silver, and you've got the thin bit, which is gold, which I didn't think this kit would need any sort of. So it's all molded like that. It wasn't separatable. You'd think that part would be separatable and not require masking, but it does. Though with the actual original line art of the kit, that part is the one color. So making the decision to make it to the one part is shit. The course of action that they've taken. We can move that a little over, a little more, and just continue the layout process. For the ease of it, maybe all these parts won't take up the whole board, though that's alright. It could be shuffled around and brought close to the middle, which I actually might do that right now, and just continue where it is, saving the whole mucking around later. But we are definitely assembling it tonight. And what I'm hoping for tomorrow is starting to decal. And these bits should not take very long to decal. After decaling and a little bit of drying, bits will be polished. Now, the funnels I'm going to keep separate because these are completely separate bits. So these will go on the other side of the board. There are a lot of different type of funnels. These are the big funnels. So that all goes together. And that's correct. There's just a lot more parts to go to. But when I'm doing a sub-assembling, when everything's together, it's just going to make it so much easier to grab and start assembling and not looking for the mess of parts. Smaller cluster of bits. These are all still shoulder. And we've got some different coloured parts. So I got some red going there. Got the fine lines and the tiny amount of chipping. The inkwork. It's just not that one bland colour. There's a bit of definition going on, which is very, very subtle. But when there's just a ton of subtle things blending together, it builds up to a more overall grander, interesting impression. And that's the sort of small stuff that compares when you have multiple kits on the table, the effort gone into the detail and the definition. And the fun of entering this in a competition is seeing the people that just snap, the people that paint and modify, and then how long, hard, and far they go into that painting and modifying mindset, or how much bucket load of time did they invest in that particular kit. And also if it's come out really smooth, or if there's a couple of mistakes, and it's just so much you can tell and read from someone's build. It's almost taking a bit of a gander inside of their head or soul or their understanding or the sort of people they are. I mean, you could look at a whole cluster of models that are made in different countries, and you can go to a competition to different nation states, and you can get a bit of a feel of the community and the culture in just how they finish their models. And that's why I like going to hobby shops in foreign countries, as you can see some finished examples of models and the paints they use, the products they like. It's just really, really fascinating. Okay, so just a tiny little snap to release it from all that build up at clear coat. And these bits have their total articulation. I was a bit worried it would be permanently stuck in one fashion. That bit's got a tiny paint mistake. So I'm going to flip it so it's not visible. Though when all the parts are overlapped on top of each other, it's practically going to be invisible. So luckily where that mistake appeared, it wasn't on something that was very, very noticeable. And you'll always have your mistakes on every build. So that's got its articulation. That's good, that's good. This thing's got very, very sketchy interior. Though this does not want to move. I'll give it some convincing. A little bit of force, not too much. Do not want to snap it or break it. If I can convince it to keep moving, I will. Now what I'm doing is I'm dabbing blue tack to pick up the rest of the blue tack that's stuck in the nook and crannies. So that's why I'm dabbing a large bit of blue tack on a piece just to collect some more blue tack. And there's some that's still stuck. And trying to adjugate it with a toothpick. And then proceed with continuing to dab it. Which is not the same definition of dabbing that they're using on television and the young kids and all that sort of stuff. Ooh, there's a bit of stress going on. That will not move. That's stuck. That's okay. Will not damage the part. It is not worthwhile. I stressed it slightly, which has me a little stressed. Pun intended. Don't know why people say pun not intended. It should always be intended. Fuck it. And if it is unintentional, say it's intentional, because that just makes it more cringy, I suppose. It's not funnier. We got less than half the parts, so I'm getting an idea how much space we could take up. It's going to move everything a bit, which again is a pain for doing it the second time around, but fuck it, it's my model. My stream, my time. Does not really matter. Funnily enough, looking at the analytics on YouTube, PhD Manchild, people actually watch these streams, which is funny. But, you know, again, it's the whole documentation process of, you know, the sort of modeling I do, what's trending, what's not, what's available, what's not. How people build and finish models today are completely different to 5, 10, 20, 30, 50 years ago due to what's available, what methods are out there and whatnot. And just sort of preserving that information is, it's kind of nice, I suppose. And just gives people a bit of insights of, you know, how I'm exactly working and thinking and the whole thought process. And it could be visited later and go, that's what I was thinking back then and did things and whatnot. Sometimes I look at old builds and go, how the fuck did I do that? Dug up the ancient work in progress file, which is buried deep in the realms of... That would make for an interesting video. I've got some very old work in progress files from the old forum days well before YouTube. I can lift those photos and the finished model. It can be edited up as a video of this is what I was building like 10 years ago and modifying it and whatnot. Because I did some cool stuff back. I did this really rad scratch build from Zone of the Enders. And look, you know, it wasn't the best finish in the world, but it was a scratch build and I was experimenting and learning and practicing, and it really helped turn me into the modeler I am today. But yeah, there's just no trace of that on the internet anymore because the forums and the picture hosting services and all that are long gone. Though everything done on YouTube, because YouTube can profit off it, is still in existence. Though I did come across a bit of quite a fright where when my Facebook was taken down, because I invest everything on Facebook and YouTube, just all of my builds and my whole, you know, online presence disappeared, along with that elements of my following base. Just tens of thousands of photos, write-ups and stuff, just gone forever over something very, very stupid. So I need to diversify it and post it in a few areas that are likely to be backed up, preserved and kept. Pinterest, which is an excellent service for reference and historical content and art and stuff like that. And things like DeviantArt and whatnot. Whatever goes there is probably historically going to stay there. Not going to post on DeviantArt, by the way. That's just the incorrect platform for me. But yeah, just need to go on a few things and eventually set up a website and set some things there. And just make sure there's a bit of a legacy left behind for when I stop posting, that there's enough information left to help future generations of modelers, I suppose. Alright, so that's all done. And there's still about another 3 trays of parts of about the same amount of quantity as what's on here. Also, I need to buff the base, and I can probably decal that tomorrow. So that's something to look at. And once that's deckled, buffed, and a final coat, that, thank God, will finally be done as well. Now, these are really long funnels. Now, these funnels just had some ridiculous, stupid over detail where they had these funny extra bits of plastic and hooks and things sticking out. So, believe it or not, what I did was I actually removed a lot of detail off these and then polished them up to make them look more plain. And they look so much more interesting and fun, not being complex. And there's just a few things like little triangles cut in the top and stuff. And that just makes it such more of an interesting visual weaponized piece. One thing people don't understand with customizing, converting, scratch building and stuff is people are quick to add. But you don't always have to add. You can also remove. Removing things is a part of the process. It goes to the same cliche thought of less is more. Though sometimes there is a quality in quantity. It's where you balance it up and find the good mix, I suppose. There we go. That's all there. And this is the final tip cone for that bit. So that goes there. Get some rivets and all sorts of just interesting things. It is dramatically much more different to the original concept. Okay. And I think I might need to order a substantial amount more decals. Whatever. Does not matter to me. Well, it does. While we're here, I just saw this. This is the tank that we just finished. The German Brummer, which is a self-propelled gun encased on like a Panzer III or Panzer IV chassis and a whole new top built up, which probably eventually led to the design of the Stug 3. So this is a very cool tank. Girls and Panzer marking on it. Put that on the side to remind me to take photos. So these are more parts. Always got more parts. Was that a big bowl of blue tack? Yeah, of course, it's fucking hiding somewhere. I can just keep all my blue tack together. You can recycle it. You mix it, stretch it, and fold it. There's a bit of crap in it. Once the crap builds up, it sort of absorbs the oils from the blue tack and it becomes less useful, and then you know when it's time to throw it out. All right. But yeah, I don't think because of just how little I'm on Twitch, the prospects of a Twitch career will not happen for a while. I'm sort of doing far too much work and focusing on my professional work. Once I get time where I can, really afford to sit down and just, nut out a 4 6 hour session on a regular basis, that would be pretty cool. But we'll just play it by ear on how that just rolls its way out. So these inner frame bits, and you'll start to see them build up more. I use a very lovely colour called Burnt Iron by Mr. Colour. And it just has a bit of red, brown mixed in gunmetal. And it just gives it that really raw, it gives it that really raw, worn metal look that you would expect that would occur to the stress of, all the mechanics in the frame that's supporting the outer armour of a war machine. And when I'm painting a thruster, a bit of this, a bit of black, and a bit of other stuff to really build it up is quite interesting. Now, I think when I do something a bit more cleaner, I'm going to try the whole metallic blue and clear blue thruster staining opposed to just, the rocket fuel blackened build-up. I don't know, play around, see what happens. So I tend to do darker, grittier builds than something that's as polished and maintained as an aircraft. You can see we've been here for almost an hour, so I've been pulling this apart for a substantial amount of time. But you can see how this process is a bit on the time-consuming end of things. Though feeling how tired I am and how things are going, might not have this completely assembled tonight. Though if I want to keep going with my endurance, I'll probably lessen my talking and relax a bit more and just let my fingers do all the showing off with just the odd commentary. And whenever someone just jumps in the chat, give them a hello and how's it going and all that sort of thing. Bit of tea. I've got this lovely tea set. Cast iron teapot, little bowl. Got some sort of black raspberry tea going on with like real raspberry in it. It's got a red colour. Really enjoy my teas and shit. Does kind of look a bit on the weebish side, though. It's more traditional Chinese, not the Japanese master race bullshit people like to have going from time to time. Though I just really like tea. I've been into tea for a long time. So we've got the tips to the big funnels. And just looking at it, the colour combination and stuff, when this thing finally comes together, it's going to be very exciting. It's got some big parts and we've got some smaller parts. So I can imagine the smaller bits will be going into the smaller funnels or something. I made that mistake when I did the test fit and it just didn't go together right. It took a while to figure that out. I'll need to do a snappy fit before I pull it apart and do a gluey fit. If that makes any sense or not, I don't know. The layout definitely makes visual sense to me, at least. I hope it does to you guys. Arm, shoulder, cluster 1. Funnels, cluster 2. And we've got cluster 3 sitting over there, which is the smallest cluster, the hip region. 2, 3, 4. These are little thrusters with the side of the big funnels. I think they're funnels. I don't know what the technical term is in seed. Don't want to be saying the wrong thing, but at the same time, I kind of don't care because it's what I'm used to from the Universal Century side of things. Okay. And I can also mount some bits, which I think will make for interesting content in itself. Now, for the center bits, okay. So what I was saying, for the center bits, this is the hips codpiece mid-frame bit. And this all airbrushed up quite beautifully. Weathered, definition, everything. Even the modifying state was a lot of fun, cutting out these little bits and then gluing them on the inner frame bits so they could be a drastically different color. Some people think that's masking, but no, it's all in the modification stage. So we'll just pile the hit bits and then I'll gently spread them out a bit in the limited space that's available to take our little photo. Oh, I love how the scratching came out on this. The edges and stuff. So there we go. Very shiny. Molotov really came through on the practice of the candy effect. The first time I weathered that came out very disappointing, so I did a second layer of weathering on the second clear coat, and then that just, it popped just right in my opinion. So I kept looking at it going, that's garbage, that's garbage, it's going to ruin the model. I thought, fuck it, put more on it, see what happens. And it went well. Now, one of these bits, I completely, royally fucked it up, and I can't tell which one it is anymore because I just stripped the paint and redid it and whatnot. And that was definitely worth doing. Even these tiny little connector bits, I did a tiny bit of styrene modifying work. So there we go. You've got a little sludge wash, you've got little lines, all sorts of small things that just build up to the definition and the story that this machine tells. And some of it is not even going to be visible. And then we've got this beautiful cluster of parts. This looks so good, it's a shame that it's going to be covered up. Painting it and doing a wash on it was no extra effort, though it could have almost been left uncoloured and it would not have been noticed. It's a shit, like, you make a mistake on a visual outer bit and that will kill you, and you do something really cool and it's going to be an inner bit. So we're just going to work the bits a bit because there's a few layers of paint and clear. Make sure she's got her articulation back. We've also plugged all the holes with blue tack, which contains polycaps inside. And these polycaps will be able to hold pegs and whatnot as efficiently as when it was the day it was just snap fitted together. So that's all the parts finally laid out and painted. I remember the hours and hours and hours of primer and painting and clear coats and shit, and just seeing it in front of me now. I'm going to have it assembled and deckled. Is making it feel like that this kit is almost completely done. But no, it's in stages. Each stage is meant to feel like a mini kit was done, but then it started being done in batches, and that kind of completely defeated the points. But, que sera, whatever. Not too much of a boner killer. That's what I'm trying to say. So just Tetris all this shit together. And there we go. Big clusterfuck of parts. And our little photo opportunity. So we can chuck this together. And realistically, if I remembered snapping, it should be very, very quick. And we haven't even reached the 1 hour mark. So I think I can mount parts that were from the shield, and the shield can start getting the paint treatment, as well as the rifle. The rifle I just finished sanding last night at work. How could I forget the rifle? But I had a thought now. On PhD Man-Child channel, which I'm not really active on anymore, and there's not enough content that's quality that's going to drag people to keep coming back for more. The content that does and the numbers it attracts does absolutely astound me. Cool. Does absolutely astound me. Now, oh man, I've just got crap everywhere. Very unorganized. So we'll follow the instructions. Start snapping some stuff together. There we go. Pour some glue in this yellow box. But seriously, I need to buy some PVA glue, or otherwise I'm in trouble. Okay. Might have been painting this in order of the instructions. So that's the whole torso done. Awesome. Head. Guess shoulders. So we've got these two bits. And these bits. It's telling me that there's some sort of polycap or some bullshit that goes on top. So we'll just do the sub-assembly at least. Those are the two big ones. These are the two. Yo. I'm not to go in there. No. Hold up. What's going on? That's not quite right. This one's slightly, let's try this. Okay, so that bit goes here. This bit goes here. And there's meant to be a bit that goes there. So that's cool. I will crack into the box, see if I got a bag with some polycaps or some shit. Okay, so that goes there. That goes there. Alright, polycap time. And we've got it. And this bag only has the 2 bits, which, shit, I just put it on PVA glue. Oh, I'm a fucking idiot. Okay, cool. Get these other bits and pieces out. There's going to be like the tiniest of paint touch-up that's going to need on the arms because the pegs are visual. And that's because I cut material so you can see a bit of the inner frame. So this is the ideal one. Okay. And in theory, it's meant to slide in. Shit, this is more complicated than I thought. There we go. Slide in like that. Now, pull you out. Blue with a toothpick because we've got beautiful metallic paintwork we don't want to ruin. And we shall put a bit of PVA glue in the holes and the little fins. So once this guy goes in for the last time, that tiny amount of glue is going to lock it in for good. Put a bit of glue here. Again, in the fins, in the peg hole. Take that off. And this little guy sliding in for the last time. And a bit of glue right on the top here and right there. The snap joints are a bit weaker from the removal of parts, from all the modifying, all that sort of stuff. Ugh. And there we go. Oh. Did I put it in the correct orientation? That does not look right. Or did it move around as I snapped it in? That could be a possibility too. There we go. Yes, that's correct. That's exactly what we want. And you can see that that's quite interesting. We've got the little separation. You got 2 little gold pegs, but that's nothing a tiny brush can't go in and lick it with a little bit of burnt iron and with a layer of clear. It will appear that well, yeah, for a little bit of clear, it shouldn't be an issue at all. And then a knife, and I just need to trim something small to make it fit. Cool. So it's just a bit that's slightly crooked, but we know the correct orientation we're going with things. So that's not a big deal. And that fits nicely. And we shall start gluing the fins and bits and pieces again. So that goes there. Slick, slick. And insert. Very cool. So now we can put about a liberal amount of glue for the bigger bit. So it's going to where it's going to need its support and whatnot. Okay, that's in there nicely. Bit of glue there. And we just pinch this bit right on the top. Cool. Bit of a pinch. Just a tad of issue. Hate doing post-painting surgery, though I've done this a couple of times so far for the kit, and it's all worked out for the better. There we go. And it's fitting just a little bit better. Cool. We just need to put a healthy, liberal amount of glue on top. I think we're going to leave her to dry for a bit. Same with this one. So that was stressful. These two bits, I can just go there. This and these. So that snaps in. That does not really need any glue because there's a touch amount of articulation. Okay, cool. So you can see the inner bit, you can see the silver going on, or the gold I should be saying. Now for the best bit. These guys, and these guys. So again, this is a bit on the shady end of things as just that many parts have been removed. I knew it would not be the easiest shit to assemble. Okay, cool. So that snaps no problems together. Doesn't want to come apart, but that's alright. We'll glue these holes together. Bit there, because that's like a peg point. And this is the other half, I believe. Seeing the shoulders, I put so much work in the shoulders. It's going to be amazing to see them slowly. Oh, what's the issue? So does it fit in there? Yeah, it fits in there. That fits in there. That might not be the issue. There we go. Snapped into place. Don't want to force it because I don't want to break anything. And there we go. That's having a quick look. I have holes going through it and all sorts of interesting business. So that also, we'll leave that done. So we'll do the interiors once the other one's a bit done. So that's a bit of glue. This is upside down, so it's not helping me at all. Upside down part shit me because it looks like a completely different part, and you're looking for something that's right under your nose, and you think you might have lost it, but that's not really the case. Alright, so I got some of the pencil coming off from somewhere and onto my fingers. I'm going to quickly wash my fingers. Before I sort of damage anything. So this is going to need a few more clear coats to really seal in all of that weathering goodness. Must have busted a small bubble of pigment or something. Lucky I noticed that quite early on before I damaged anything. We'll be back. Pigment cleaned, and I might give these parts a bit of a wipe down with water because the pigment is on the water soluble side of things. So we'll give that a bit of a wipe. And I'm not seeing anything come up, so obviously I might have just caught it at the right time and not have done any harm whatsoever. Cool beans. So, as always, I widen the peg holes so they don't have as much tension, but when I assemble, I put PVA glue in the peg holes. It doesn't require tension, it requires the adhesion of a clear wood glue, and it's just the perfect product. I know it is not a common product to use in modeling, and when people mention about its use in gunpowder, people think it's using it for the wrong thing and it's going to be a terrible result. Okay, cool. Excellent. So that's good. That 6 belongs to each other. That belongs. That belongs. And that belongs. Just sort of slowly clustering bits and pieces together. So just a bit of a test fit. So that goes in. That's quite tight. But we shall use the tiniest amount of PVA glue in the non-visual areas. And instead of just being a tight fit, it can be a permanent fit. There we go. Nothing on this earth is going to make that separate. Unless you start breaking the plastic or something. Cool and cool. It's upside down again. Bloody upside down parts. Always tricking me. Actually got some glue on the paint. Not a big deal. Wipe with the finger. All gone. These red bits are looking a bit snazzy on the gold. Now, these never really fitted right due to all the modification on the underbit because I've just loosened it way too much. Excess glue, wipe away. Hopefully the wood glue in this situation will fix it. Now, we have the smaller bit that goes somewhere here. And yeah, I'm right. There's just nothing holding it into place. We're going to have to use a liberal amount of glue, and it's actually going to have to. There's a bit of like a give that it's going to click in, but it's going to fall out. And with that much glue, that's going to stay in there well and truly. So we're going to assume the big pieces are exactly the same. Load it up with glue. And find where it's meant to just feel like it clicks in. If it can just click in. Might have to. Theory, it's meant to be somewhere around there. Let's have a look for the reference. How close are they meant to be together? And that's not helping me whatsoever. Want to be something like that. So what we're going to do is a huge lump of glue right there. Purely rely on the glue to hold into place. And we'll check the next day if it holds. Yeah, that looks like it's meant to be there. Straighten it up a bit. And cool. That was a bit ambitious in the way of modifying. And we're going to do that again. A little bit for small piece. So it's got something to click into. And the big piece has nothing due to the drastic amount of material removed. Now this one's not behaving as well because that's got a little more removed than the other one, so it's just not clicking. So we'll fill up its crevice with clear glue, and it dries completely clear and slightly glossy. So there'll be, even though you can see there's all that white in there, there's not going to be any trace of that tomorrow. Well, it might be a bit foggy at first, but after the days and weeks, it clears up. Need to just clean up my fingers slightly a bit. We'll be back. And we can see stuff is starting to cluster together. So there's yeah, the assembly process is going strong. There we go. Bit more glue. I might hit it with a clear before I go to sleep, just so that it sealed any of the weathering stuff I might have loosened up slightly. This toothpick's been compromised. Grab another one. It's not really compromised, it's just got like glue on it. I don't want to handle glue. So, gluing up the underneath. And then a hefty amount on the inside. So we can just sit there and rely on the glob bonding. Very, very technical word. Jesus, 20 minutes just disappeared like that. Assembling is seriously such a time is just such a time consuming activity. Alright, so that clicked in a little better. This one's not having as much luck. It's gonna need more glue. And I want to give it like as much chance to gel and bond and whatever it needs to do to make it work. Okay, so I made a Q-tip just to remove some excess that's gotten into a hard to reach place. And maybe I won't be able to clear it because of the wet glue. Why did I not think of that? Oh well, that's not important. So the two look about the same. That's got a bit of excess glue. And we let that dry. So according to the instructions, we've got this cluster of bits and pieces which is in cahoots with another cluster of bits and pieces. Oh, luckily it bounced into my onesie. Cool. So if I've got this right, this bit, that bit, and that slides into that bit, and that's right. Cool. Just mimic it on the other side. With Gundams, there's a lot of repetitive aspects, and you don't really need to, arm, bit. Second arm, exact same bit. Just make them parallel and do the whole thing in just one go, really. So I have PVA glue in the pegs. And this thing's got all sorts of cutouts and goodies and crazy mods and whatnot. Exposing, because once upon a time, like the more inner detail you can expose, the more money you're getting out of your master grades or whatever. And I thought I'll take that old school approach that I loved back then and I still love now. And you can see like little holes and all sorts of... Oh shit, I should not have stuck that together yet. Fuck. I was not thinking. Thank God I didn't break that. So before I go any further, I need to get this bit in. And what I needed to have done is... I got carried away with the test building. It's the wrong way around. Yeah. So I need to pop this out. Help with the knife. Everything's a bit tighter because of paint, so that's a pain in the ass. So that's out. And in theory, this needs to pop in. That pops back. Bit more glue for good measure. Some of it would have oozed out and whatnot. And bang, we've got like an arm. Very cool. Repeat that again with a cleaner piece. Now that photo I took with all the parts together, that could make for a cool thumbnail. Okay, so that goes in there. Snap that in there, and you could take that as a photo too. So that just looks cool. I'll have a small cluster of photos. For a whole work in progress thing. There we go. Take another quick wash break. I just keep doing the shine comparison. Okay, cool. Alright, glue time. Filling in these, so when you get like one or two peg snap, it won't come apart. Now we can have a look. So that's your ideal modified bit. You can see there's some holes. There are some cutouts. Now, these two, I just want to do just that liquor painting, which I will do now. Fuck it. And then that way I don't have to focus on doing that later. And paintbrush, we've got the paint here. That's all assembled. All it needs is just a lick of paint over the pegs. So it's not gold, it's burnt iron. And the eye will not be drawn to them as being, hey, those are pegs. Why is those pegs painted when there's an inner frame? People look really close, it just look like a tad of mechanical detail. They weren't even hard to paint. There we go. That looks absolutely stellar. Bits all separated and armor removed and whatnot. This is a tad more separated. There we go. Done. Cool. Clean up the brush, tie the brush conditioner, and we keep going on with this mess. And we've held all these parts that are packing up into their assembled form. They're quite small, smaller than this humongous torso that the Providence is. And you focus the decals more at the front, very, very little at the back. The back is not going to be very visible at all. Everyone's going to be looking at the front. Do put a little bit on the back so it's not weird. And that's just how that ball rolls. It's funny looking at the stream since it's a few minutes behind and it's still got the cleaning pot out. So it's like Alan 20 seconds in the past or something. Okay, so this cluster is done. Hooray, very exciting. Let's focus on this cluster. So, blah, 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 blah. That's the assembly for that. Those two already here. That just clicks there. So, oh, and I thought that was done so nicely, and that just snaps there. Whoa, too much glue. 1, 2. That probably is going to just snap on nicely, or maybe not, whatever. And it's like something about 2 clips. I assume that's all revolved around this. This bastard. Just a test fit. No, I should go like something like that, shouldn't it? Ah! That's the correct orientation. Cool. So there's 2 little pegs in there. We'll just swab the glue around in a messy state until it eventually gets there, but that doesn't matter. Smear some against the wall so there's a bit of surface tension. Whoops. And done. And for the piece de resistance, this red thing, so that roughly goes there. Bit of glue right in the grooves. One to shiz in. She's staying in. So I assume that just slides in. Sure does. And there you go. And there's like a little dark crevice there. So post-assembly, I reckon just a tiny little drop of wash in there or something. Just to pick it up slightly. So that's that small amount of detail is not looking spectacular at the moment. We're going to do that now. A little bit of brush, get a little bit of a wash. That's PVA glue, so nothing will be affected. So there's just a few things that when you assemble and then whether than assemble, there's just a few things that you do miss and you have to do what I like to call, for my style at least, touch-up weathering. There we go. Perfect. That's exactly what it needed to look like. Sweet. I can go there. And again, put this away, clean the brush, condition the brush. I did not expect to have deployed the brush that soon. Thought that has been that one little touch up. Should not have assumed. Oh, doesn't matter. Brush conditioner, where art thou be? Why did I put it there? It's not where it belongs. Okay. That was a huge sidestep. So we've got these parts and the bits go on, and it's going to be my favourite bit to see what it looks like once the painted bits and the non-painted bits go on top of each other. So I just have to be very careful with how the glue goes on these ones. There we go. That's exactly what I wanted. That's awesome. You see, that's like, it's actually, a gap that goes underneath the armor. And no, perfect. Absolutely perfect. I won't touch that yet because of deckling and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so where is it? That bit. My dog's awake for some reason. It's almost 5 in the morning and my dog's awake. That can't be good. Unless that's the normal time he's awake. Not too sure of the social activities of my dog. It's probably on a hot date or something. I don't know. Talking shit now. This is a fair amount of time into the stream. I'm getting a bit tired. It's very early in the morning. I don't think I'll be deckling this tomorrow because it's going to need a clear coat before deckling, but that's alright. There's so many other things I do need to do. This two combination of bits is just really, really, really awesome. It snaps well, mostly due to the tension of the over covering bit going with the under interior bit. Does not actually probably really need the glue, but it's a very safe insurance policy. It's not like it's a waste of material or anything. And we have to just find the right Oh yeah, 'cause it's how I cut it and stuff. There's actually some bits that are I thought that needed to line up with that, but I did a fair amount of cutting and removing of material, and I shouldn't have put that together because there was oh shit. I need to pull it apart because I need to get some bits and pieces inside. Out, scratching the paint. Which is doable. The second time I've done this tonight. Oh, it's not completely out. Oh, it is. Yes. Yeah, that's what it needed. And it didn't scratch the paint. Cool. So I just need to make sure I've got the right parts. They're all identical. Cool. And I need to get it in the right orientation of how I've modified it. So that goes in there. That goes in there. So this is where the funnels attach. Little more glue for good measure. Excellent. And that's popped out nicely. And these little bits and pieces go in there like so. And you get the funnels that are coming out of it. Very exciting stuff. So those two sort of snap in-ish like that. Tension's in there. Glue's holding it together. These, take these pieces like so. And there's a little glue work. Not that that's a big deal at all. Time check, almost 2 hours. We'll go for 2.5 as usual, and we'll end it as so. So yeah, these got a bit of cutting as well, which gives it definitely an interesting look. Yeah, that's nicely done. After I snap this together, we'll do one more little wash up. And then we've got some funnels to do, some mounting to do, because I have to mount these up for the clear coat and decaling. And then we can mount up the shield and the gun. You can see you get some inner detail being displayed because some armor's been removed and yeah, all sorts of goodies. So that cluster of bits It's all done. Crazy, I know. So be back. All right. That's all good. Now these are pretty straightforward because they snap in like so. But we'll just add a bit of glue on the inside. Just to make sure they stay. That was a tad too much glue, but whatever. Oh, wasn't so much it was a tad too much glue, it was the wrong way around. There we go. That gun's sticking out. That gun's sticking out. It's exactly what we want. That's good. That's good. Because these things have got like 2 guns per funnel or something. That doesn't fit. That's cool. Those 3 are pretty big. That doesn't want to go in. That does want to go in. Cool. That fits in there perfectly. Just put some glue inside to make sure it stays in there permanently. That's happy. That works. Okay. So a bit of glue. Snapped. And the rest of the bits are the same, so it's just going raw, no testing. Glue is a bit big, so we're going to have to just dab it slightly. There you go. Been working on this for a while, can't wait for it to be finished. But at the same time, I'm a tad bored with Gundam, so I'd like to work on some other exciting projects and ideas. Get a bit more deeper in some resin, some figures, some tanks. Sort of share around that world of things. let's just say Gundam hasn't exactly treated me very well. That's alright, that's not a big deal. Something I can always return to. I will have to build that Leo. As soon as I get my hands on that Leo, I gotta build it. That's gonna be cool. And the last one. Sweet. Big pile of actual gold assembled components. Not just parts. So, oh, funnels and stuff is a little further back. Legs. Uh-huh. Big funnels. We've got this bastard and this bastard. And they just go together like that. So that's not a big deal. A bit more glue. Get the 4 peg holes. If it's a bit sloppy, that doesn't matter because there's a lot of space inside. I remember the top bit was a bit loose because I loosened them way too much. And there's 3 of these, which are very, very menacing. Cool. Snapped in. Oh shit, I'm not too sure how I'm going to put this on pegs. I think a bit of blue tack will be required. Yeah, blue tack will work it. These are like 3 little mini model kits of like rocket ships or some garbage like that. Sweet. Oh, there you go. Wash my hands again. Yeah, man, this is so close. So close. Okay. Now, this is a bit tricky trying to get these into position. Oh, shit. Aha. The little thruster bits. They just snap. They're gonna snap no matter what. So that broke off. Let's put a bit of glue in there and hope for the best. Hope that just works. Not, we'll have to use something with a little more oomph and solvent. Ugh. Come on. Yeah. Alright, that's looking okay. Last one. That's looking perfectly. Again, these bits I probably didn't even top coat them because the silver's ever so slightly coming off. You have to be a tad on the careful side. So a bit of glue on the inside of these. For these rocket ships. They're not quite funnels, they're like fully fledged rocket ships here. And I'm just putting the tiniest amount of glue in because it's practically surface on surface. If you build up, they're just going to squeeze out. That just tiny amount makes all the difference. So just if I remember correctly, now these are thickened up a bit, haven't they? Alright, let's try another one. They don't want to go on anymore. Oh no, broke one. Widen the holes a bit more. And we'll just shorten the pegs a bit. And that will solve our problem. And the pegs have completely come off. Ha! Whoops. Oh, that fucked up. Alright, so what I'm going to need is a bit of that. And just get a bit creative. Repair work does get a bit like that. Gotta use your needle. Okay. So that's not quite. Yes. There's a bit of a key in a connection. Oh. Yeah, it's going to fall off like that, obviously. I just need to get that on there. Get that on there. And hope that dries, no problems. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. Okay. So these ones, widen the holes a bit more. This is why you should always mask peg holes. So I thought it was so loose, it'd be like, oh, I'll tighten up just right. Now that works. Sweet. And yeah. Tomorrow I'll put in a decent days of modelling. Also going to make a video too. That's a pain in the ass. Cool. Well, no, not really. I actually enjoy video making, so I don't know why I thought that was going to be a pain in the ass. Yeah. Wipe off some excess. That doesn't need to go on a peg yet, so that's alright. Neighbour gonna work. I can hear him starting up their car. Yeah, it's coming at 5 o'clock in the morning, so that makes sense. Oh, sort of. It's a bit shady, but that's alright. Widen these holes. Cool. Yeah. Peg mount done. Suppose we'll mount these, we'll mount the other parts. Call it quits. It's probably the best thing I could do. So yeah, that huge bag of gator clips. A few hundred in there. Alright. This would be our block of funnels, I suppose. Just got to keep remembering to try to do as much as I can on camera. Funnel, funnel, and then we'll save the arms and shit for another one. Funnel. Unless the funnels are a bit too much and they might be risking touching each other or something. Can't have that. We might be in risk of that, so I'll have to stretch out to another one. No, the funnels can fit. Wait, no, they can't. Cool. So move that to the side, and we shall get ourselves another board. Oops, I almost fell over. That would have been embarrassing. Jesus, I'm tired. If I just kept sleeping, I wouldn't get any modelling done, would I? No. Okay. In theory, this is covered by this. Just need to just get the little bastard stuck in there. You can't really see much on the inside of things. That won't be deckled. And with how the glue's firming up, we might be able to dust on something. So the shoulders, I'll probably chuck on a bit of decal work, especially some sort of logo or marking or something. I'll put 2 more parts on here. We'll chuck the rest on another one. There we go. That bit there. That bit like that. Move you here. Move you here. Sweet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And yeah, with the head and torso, that's more than half. Oh, what did I do? Didn't grab one of these. Ugh. Okay, the power of my toothpick mounting ability. Alright, that works. So wood jams in, and it doesn't ruin plastic. It's got more chances of deforming and damaging before the plastic does. Ram it into some sort of tight area. Not too tight. There we go. Excellent. The prospects of how all of this is coming together is starting to get a bit on the exciting side of things. Deckling all of this will be fun. Alright. So that's all sorted. That's all sorted. That's all sorted. That's all sorted. So I'll make for a photo op. So this is everything we've done tonight. Doesn't look like much. I know that, but it is what it is. I'll mount this in the airbrushing area so I can get it clear as soon as I log off. Priority for the decals, of course. Now the shoulders are a part of the torso, so the shoulders are going to get a large amount of decals. So that'll be decal heavy. Everything else not so much. Probably 2 sessions. Be back to get some more parts. Alright. Stream crashed. That sucked. Oh, I got a sale. Alright. Sorry about that. There we go. Alright, so these are the legs. I'm working on them. And I'll have them done by next week and primed and painted the week after. These parts have been very difficult to figure out how to modify them and work my way around it. This was also difficult, but I figured something out and absolutely rocks the shield. Could not have come out better. The shield is, for the Providence, the shield is very awkward looking. And once a bit of work was done to it, it sort of comes out a bit like a independent ship or something. You could just fly out, gave it a bit of little fins and wings and stuff. A bit of a dotted edge and some mechanical detail just to make it pop a bit. Turn some of the inners into outers and cut out little holes just for, well, shits and giggles. The gun, Jesus, the gun came out spectacularly well. It was very boring and just overly big. It was big for big sake. I need to pop the lens out of the sniper scope. Put that back in the bag. Cool. So that goes in there. And pull this all apart. Well, this is all one color. The gun doesn't come apart, so I glued all that to place. That stays like that. And this pulls apart in this orientation. Now this also has a clear component, and that can live with the rifle scope. Referring to customer inquiries and resulting sales while on stream is one way it's professional, and in another regards is grossly unprofessional, but it is what it is. So this is all similar color. That's the same color. That's the same color. That becomes a color with that. That's the color of that. Now these are holes, so when you snap it, you could snap it out. If that didn't come with that, holes would be drilled in and you could do it. I'd made the hole a lot bigger, but nah, whatever. I'm not going to criticize what Bandai does. That's not my business whatsoever. Now red is red. One red part. It's pain. Whatever. This is cool how this comes apart and goes back together. I'm not doing the hand on the inside, modeling or painting it or anything, because it's not going to be visible, so it's just a stump. Why bother modeling for something that's not there? Okay, so that's a cluster bit. That's a cluster bit. It's a bit on its own. This I could paint tomorrow. Chuck her on the big one. And we'll start filming the work in progress tomorrow. Do about 4 or 5 cuts, roll it together, upload it by midnight instead of lunchtime. Okay, you can just attach that there, and that can be touched up later. So the rifle bit can go here. Now for the grander rifle, I always put the peg on the handle, because the handle is going to be covered by the hand. That can be touched up with paint where it's a bit rough and whatnot. And oh, that actually works pretty nicely. And yeah, it doesn't matter if it's not perfect because it's not going to even be seen in the first place. But yeah, having a look at it. I did a whole video on how to chop it up, modify it, put it back together and glue it. And I used a 4D gun and I sliced up all the detail and applied it to this base. That's a way to do it. Now this, I can toothpick. The other half of that toothpick is forever gone. No idea where that's going to appear. Oh, that's just perfect. That's just perfect. This is going to be in a frame detail business. Pretty much burnt iron. Something weird going on in there. What is that? That's just crap. Get rid of the crap. Yeah, that works somehow. Whatever. Now this is tiny. Where I was talking about parts just popping off randomly and all over the parts, all over the place. This is a candidate for that. So to fix that, instead of actually attaching it to the alligator clip, we're only just going to stick it. So that'll be fine. So that goes there. Thumb's not a big deal. Stick that on. And a bit of blue tack just to make sure that it doesn't snap off. Cool. Most of this piece is hidden, so clip it wherever. That doesn't matter. A lot of this is a blue tack job. It's ever so slightly loose, so blue tack will just make it. Just gotta check that comment again. Cool. Hey, don't want to lose that. That sits there perfectly. Except now I have to use a bloody bendy fucking thing. And the hand to hold the gun. Like so. Just ram a bit of blue tack. Make sure it's nice and sticky. And then these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These will be our golden pieces. So that works there. And we're almost reaching 2.5 hours. So this time budgeting worked out really, really well. Now, the hand bits are normally so boring. I do something small to jazz it up a bit, but this is just already so jazzed. It's alright how it is. And this is like one completely unmolested, untouched, unmodified bit. That's not like the chin or the eyes or something. It's going on the kit. Crazy, I know. Not everything needs to be changed. That. This is there. Bit of blue tack to make sure it doesn't go flying. This big bastard. And he could go anywhere, it doesn't matter. There. We'll pull it all into perspective to show off. That's all of it. And together. Calling this stream closed. We don't have any viewers at the moment, so I don't have to worry about a sign off or anything. And the few people who do watch to the end, hello, whatever. See you guys later. Thank you for watching. Catch ya.